the First Amendment is our most important freedom. And I hate to see it abused the way it is right now. And that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. So let's define what we're talking about. Here is the First Amendment. Quote, Congress should make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances, unquote. Brilliant. That's James Madison with an assist from Thomas Jefferson and a little advice from Benjamin Franklin. Brilliant. Holds up. But freedom of speech now is being used in a very political way, and it's getting to be dangerous. So let me run it down and back up what I say. We begin with Attorney General Pam Bondi, who a couple of days ago was talking about the danger of hate speech. Roll tape.
We've been fighting these universities left and right, and we're not going to stop. There's free speech, and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle.
Okay, but it has to be a direct line before the Justice Department gets involved. So there has to be what they call a cause and effect. You say something, and that puts a person in danger or harms that person in some way. The line has got to be direct. Can't be indirect, can't be theoretical, or any of that. So Ms. Bondi, under some pressure, had to clarify what she said, and here is the quote. Hate speech that crosses the line at the threats of violence is not protected by the First Amendment. It's a crime. Far too long, we've watched the radical left normalize threats, call for assassinations, cheer on political violence. That era is over. Under 18 U.S.C. 875C, it is a federal crime to transmit any communication containing any threat to kidnap any person or any threat to injure the person of another. Okay, and that's fine, and that's the law, and it should be upheld. But again, it is a direct line. Evidence has to be there. I am going to kill you, Mr. Brown. All right? Now, you threaten somebody like that, the cops are going to show up. If you defame somebody, the civil lawyers will show up. You do not have the right to do that. We all clear. Okay. So, the leftist media, of which Ms. Bondi is referring, and President Trump does it all day long too, wants to change the country. All right? They don't like the country the way it is, and they want fundamental changes, so they have glommed on to the progressive left. And the leftist media, the five major national networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, MS, and CNN, they torture President Trump. And I use the word literally. They torture him. And he believes that this is a form of hate speech, which you could make an argument for that, but not a legal argument. You could make a moral argument that they hate him so much, the networks, that it is way out of proportion, harming the nation. So one of the chief offenders in President Trump's mind is ABC News correspondent Jonathan Karl, all right? And Karl approached the president before he left for England. Roll it.
And what do you make of Pam Bondi saying she's going to go after hate speech? Is that, I mean, a lot of your allies say hate speech is free speech.
We'd probably go after people like you because you treat me so unfairly. It's hate. You have a lot of hate in your heart. Maybe they'll come after ABC. Well, ABC paid me $16 million recently for a form of hate speech, right? Your company paid me $16 million for a form of hate speech. So maybe they'll have to go after you.
Now, the president is being facetious. He's just given Karl jazz. But a liberal friend of mine who should know better texted me and said, "Oh, look at this. He's ready." I said, "Come on. President Trump does that stuff all the time. It's not to justify it. You don't take it seriously. He's not going to go after Jonathan Karl." The 16 million, of course, was referring to Stephanopoulos on ABC, who called Trump a rapist. And that wasn't backed up by anything, so ABC had to pay all that money to the Trump library. All right. Now we go to Whoopi Goldberg. Ms. Goldberg is a sincere individual. She's not a phony like some of the others are. But she lives in a world of her own. So she is now talking about speech as well. Go.
I always thought that this administration campaigned on ending the weaponization of free speech. So I know there's a lot of stuff people say that I don't like. I don't like it. But as an American, I have the right to say I don't like it, and they have the right to say it.
But not on The View. They don't have the right to say it on The View because The View has not booked one conservative guest this year. Not one. I used to go on there all the time. I'm not conservative, but I certainly lean traditional when Barbara Walters was running the show. So Whoopi Goldberg is, yeah, I could say it, you could say it, that's all good. Well, why don't you have any other voices on your show? Every voice you have, every guest you have is a liberal. Every one. So this is freedom of speech? No, it's not. Because you're censoring one whole part of the country, refusing to allow them a forum to be heard. See that? Freedom of speech, if it's excluded, doesn't exist. If you can't say in a forum what you'd like to say, you don't have freedom of speech. And that is what the 5 liberal networks have done. They wiped it out. Totally. At least on Fox News, they don't have too many, but they have some liberal voices. Not on The View, not one. Colbert, not one. The only non-liberal he brought on in the entire year is Liz Cheney, who hates Trump, and that's the only reason she was there, so she could hate him more on television. All right, and it goes down the line. Cold and flu season coming on up. We all know it. And it really is nothing to take lightly. So when people start getting sick all across the country, medications disappear. Everybody wants it at the same time. So it's very, very smart to have a pharmacy you can count on, like All Family Pharmacy. Right now, they're helping Americans get ahead of the curve with 10% off antibiotics, antivirals, other essentials. You know how important it is to have the right meds when you get sick, particularly when your kids get sick. You don't want to be going into the doctor's office, spending all the time. You want to have them at your home. So if you have a few months' supply, you don't have to worry. And that's what we're doing here. If you believe in medical freedom, okay, and taking care of your family, as I do, this is the pharmacy for you. Please go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use code BILL10 to save 10%. You know, I'm doing a book tour for Confronting Evil. You're not going to see me on a Sunday morning CBS program, which sells books, does a big author thing. They don't book anybody who's not liberal. Thank you, Jane Pauley. That's very, very nice of you. Freedom of speech doesn't exist. That is the con, C-O-N. All the liberals, oh, yeah, I'm freedom of speech. Yeah, but not on my show. Oh, no, not booking you. It really, you know, I'm sitting back here going, and I'm glad I'm being able to tell you this because I'm sure it never occurred to you because you can't monitor what's happening on these programs every day. I can, you can. But that's what's happening. It's been happening for 10 years, ever since Trump got into the political arena. So just sum it up. You have to be realistic about this. Pam Bondi wants to go after freedom of speech and say certain types of it are violent, lead to violence. She can do that. That is legitimate. But it's a very narrow window. Very narrow. It can't be an opinion. It's It's got to be a threat. All right? But Justice Department has the power. If you threaten the President of the United States, you're going to get arrested. Secret Service is going to come to your house. Or a senator, or a Supreme Court person, any of that. If you threaten your neighbor, and your neighbor can prove it, that this person wants to do me harm, you're going to be in trouble. Now, there is a glimmer of hope. So yesterday, I did an interview with Major Garrett, my old colleague at Fox News, now worked for CBS, and he's a good reporter. And he called me and said, look, you want to talk about confronting evil in the State of the Union? I said, sure. So I did a long thing, which we posted on BillO'Reilly.com. You can see the whole thing, but I'm going to just give you a clip now. I was surprised to get that invitation because for 10 years, we didn't get any invitations from any network for anything. Roll the tape.
In terms of phraseology and definition, Bill, is there a practical and important difference between the left in America and the radical left?
Yeah, there's a difference, but you don't hear from the moderate left because all the money and all the amplification is on the radical left. So the big Soros money and the big dark money going in, they're not going to agencies that are traditionally liberal. They're going to, let's blow it up. And then that's amplified on social media. They want clicks. Well, who's going to get the clicks? The people that are saying the most outrageous stuff. And it works on the right, too. But the right doesn't have the centrality that the progressive left has. And plus, you got 5 networks that are sympathetic to the progressive left. And 1 network that's sympathetic to the traditional conservatives. So you're heavily outnumbered there as well. All right. So again, I was surprised to get the invitation. I was pleased to get it. We want to get the word out all over the place. But there's a lot of the censorship going on now, and I'm trying to break it down. Almost single-handedly trying to break it down. And there's other things that I'm not ready to tell you about that are disturbing. But when I nail it all down, I will. And the reason that CBS did allow me to go on with Major Garrett is because they've had a management change. Skydance bought it, as you know. And Skydance doesn't want to be exclusionary, which is great. And I'm hoping that CBS rises. And that's a memo.